to dive in a little bit more to the requests I've had about the hips and pelvis, which I totally understand. I think a lot of us are sitting more often than we have been accustomed to. I was talking yesterday that when I sit here at my computer right now, I'm sitting on a physio ball. But when I look at my larger monitor, the physio ball has been shrinking because that's what they do. They lose their air. So then I was going down like, like that. And then I had to look up and I realized, oh, my back and my neck were giving me some symptoms from that. So now I'm sitting on a wooden chair with a blanket because it's a better height, but that makes my hips feel another kind of thing to tend to. So this morning I want to address the hips and pelvis for everyone, and based on the requests that you've been sending me. So let's start with a comfortable seat, please. I hope that you got my email that we're going to have 2 blocks and a chair as a part of class this morning. And for right now, you can sit in whatever way is most comfortable for you. And rest your hands in your lap. And let your eyes close. Let your attention come in to the opportunity you have for your yoga practice this morning. How wonderful that we get to be together. And also how wonderful that we have enough well-being and enough good personal logistics to arrive for yoga class. So for the next few moments, and then in the duration of class, setting aside anything that is not relevant to your practice. You can imagine those as little bundles that you put to the side, if that's helpful, or as leaves falling from a tree, and then you remain focused on the trunk and the branches of the tree. You can imagine these unnecessary thought distractions as little things going downstream on a river that doesn't need your attention. And then let your awareness come down into your pelvis. And yesterday I spoke about the pelvis as a kind of basin having an inner topography of its own, and that you could imagine the pelvic bones as that vessel, the basin that is housing your vitality here at the second chakra. The vitality is the element of water, and we want that to spring forth in us. In fact, Chinese medicine calls the first acupuncture point at the sole of the foot on the kidney meridian, it's called bubbling spring. And it represents how the vitality or the prana would come through us. So picture the pelvis as a basin, a vessel that's holding the possibility of your vitality. And let your inhale come down to say hello to this region of vitality. And when the breath comes down, try to imagine where in the pelvis it feels welcomed, and any place where it feels like murky or not so welcome. And then slowly make the breath more smooth and more unctuous is a word we use in Ayurveda, more unctuous. It's one of the qualities of the kapha dosha. And kapha is the 2 elements, earth and water combined. So first chakra and second chakra. To make the breath unctuous means it has this very smooth, curvaceous, easeful feeling, like an unctuous river. And we want the breath to smoothly transition to the high point of the inhale, to the inhale pause, and then the low point of the exhale, and your exhale pause. And so right now you're finding out about the way things are, the influence of your morning, your sleep, your yesterday activities. We're also finding out what can become from the yoga practice. What influence do a few mindful breath cycles have in your experience? So please bring your hands now to Anjali Mudra, and we will chant together. Sahana Vavatu, Sahano Bhunaktu, Saviryam Karavavai, Tejasvinavaditamastu, Ma Vidvishavai, Sahana Vavatu, Sahano Bhunaktu, Saviryam Karavavai, Tejasvinavaditamastu, Ma Vidvishavai. Sahana Vavatu, Sahano Bhunaktu, Saviryam Karavavai, Tejasvinavaditamastu, Ma Vidvishavai. Om Shanti Om Shanti Shanti Om. You may bow your head to your heart. Release your hands. Please open your eyes. Okay, I'm going to switch my glasses and I'll walk back to my yoga mat here and we'll go to the phone camera, Susie. We are going to begin seated, so you guys can stay as you are. Let me just get my microphone untangled. Okay, great. And so what I'm going to ask you to do is sit on a rolled blanket, something like this. Of course, you might have your meditation seat already established, but when you sit on the rolled blanket, there's a reason for it. Let me change my glasses here. Thanks, Susie. Ding. And that should go down to the floor camera too. Thank you, Susie. Okay, so when you take a seat, sit on the rolled blanket and put the soles of your feet together like this in baddha konasana. And then let's take one block for each knee, like this. Okay, so you already have your seat well supported. And if what you've discovered is sitting on one rolled blanket means that your pelvis is going backwards, please add a blanket under the rolled blanket. But I'd like you to sit so that your sitting bones are on the high point of the roll. And when you tip the pelvis forward, it's encouraged to come forward. And let's just walk the hands out and see what is the experience in the pelvis just at the start of your practice. And if it's the first movement of the day for you, if you've been sleeping until just before class, you might be aware of the stiffness of the body in the morning. Try to make the breath unctuous, so it has that feeling like an unctuous river in a beautiful place. And with the exhale, invite your body to soften, so the efforts are not demanding, the efforts are internally kind. With the inhale, invite your body to brighten. So the efforts aren't forceful, but there is a kind of commitment to the effort. And do that twice more, please. So the inhale is this inner quality of brightening. You might think of it as like turning a dimmer switch up on the light. And the exhale, an inner quality of softening, a kind of surrender. You're now holding both feet with your left hand. Take your right hand to your right, and you can keep the forward angle of your pose, and please twist gently to your right. And notice what's present when you twist the inner body to the right. What happens for your pelvis and your shins? We want them to stay equally weighted on the two blocks. So the twist is really into the low belly and the mid belly. And possibly you can feel it also into the back of your waist. And try again for about 3 breath cycles. The inhale is a kind of brightening, as if you had a dimmer switch, so the body lights up from the inside. And on the exhale, let there be a quality of softening, so there's not undue urgency or tension in the body. And when you exhale, come around to center. Hold your feet with your right hand. Take your left hand to your left knee and make a gentle twist to your left. Also getting to know what's present in your body this morning. Where you notice capacity, where you might notice a little lethargy or residue from sleep or other activities. Let the inhale bring a quality of brightening. And your exhale, a quality of softening. No sense of urgency or haste, particularly when you're thinking about the first chakra and the second chakra, the earliest years, the earliest moments and years of life. We do not want there to be a sense of urgency or haste. And then as you exhale, come around to face forward, rise up to sitting, and let's just take like a little mental snapshot of what that was for you. So when we check back into it later in class, you're going to be able to sense what the changes are for your body. Please come up to standing. You can put the blanket roll aside for the moment. Let me put my glasses where they won't be in harm's way. When you come up to stand, take your feet now as wide as your yoga mat. We're going to use yesterday's beginning pranayama, so please clasp your hands. Inhale the heels of your hands down, forward, and up. Okay, when you exhale, then bend your knees, take the arms wide, and come down to a little ragdoll moment. Your heels should be fully weighted. Drop your hips back a little bit. Repeat that, okay? Inhale, sweep the heels of your hands forward, rise up. And exhale, sweep the arms wide, bend your knees, and come down like a little ragdoll. Clasp your hands. Inhale again. Good. And exhale, sweep the arms wide and come down like a little ragdoll. Now we're going to add sound to the exhale. So inhale, rise up, sweep up into the full height of your body, and then exhale. Again, clasp your hands, rise up to your full height, almost like you're filling up a windsock, right? And then exhale, arms wide. Once more, inhale, rise up, sweep your arms, hands clasped overhead. And exhale, arms wide, bend your knees and sit down. Now, keeping yourself down in this ragdoll position, notice if the big toes, pinky toes, inner and outer heels all have kind of equal responsibility right now. And put your body weight a little bit more into the back of your heels and a little bit less into the toes, but keep the toes active and responsible. Walk your fingertips forward while reaching your hips back. So give some traction to your spine here. Now we're going to practice a big inhale like the back of the body as a parachute. And on the exhale, we're going to use the sighing breath while we stay in this position. So let's inhale together, open the parachute of the back body. Please keep your knees bent and your hips back.
And then like a sigh. And the sigh might go to silence, and then the low belly continues to tone. Again, inhale like the back of the body is a parachute. Continue the exhale even in silence. Once more, inhale like a parachute on the back of the body. And now very slowly straighten your legs and walk your hands and feet into your downward facing dog pose. And when you step into your dog pose, you will be having a slightly less amount, or maybe a lesser amount, it's a funny way to say it, of hip flexion. So what's going to happen is your legs might actually get warmed up, because in the deep knee bend there, the hips actually had very strong flexion, and then you release that when you get to dog pose. Right, so in this dog pose, let's keep the hands so they are shoulder width apart, but place your feet as wide as your yoga mat. And while keeping your hands symmetrical, start allowing your hips to go side to side, so that your hips and pelvis get to act like the unctuous river. And perhaps you have a sense on the inhale, the spine gets longer as your hips swivel to one side. And perhaps on the exhale that the low belly becomes more toned as you go to the completion of the exhale. Please swivel your hips a few times more. And let your body express itself as it needs to. There's no one right way to have your hips swivel side to side, and there's no one wrong way to do it either. And then bring yourself back to center, please. Roll your knees down to the floor, put the big toes together, and reach back to child's pose. Make a little stack of your forearms as a pillow for your head. Make the knees wide enough that you can sense the breath in the inner belly. And just sense what's happening there. We're going to use this sort of unctuousness in a few more poses this morning. I sometimes like to say, as if you were practicing yoga on a train and it had that little rock, you know, the romantic rock that we imagine trains to have. Or if you were practicing on a boat and it had a gentle rock, something like that. So please walk your hands back towards your knees. And let's take both blocks and step forward for Surya Namaskar. Join your hands together in Anjali Mudra. For a few moments, close your eyes. Press into all 10 toes. Press into the big toe mounds as well. Thoughtfully lift the arches of both feet, and as you press down into your heels, imagine centering your pelvic floor also. So if it was a level, the pubic bone, the tailbone, the left and right edges of the pelvic floor, they would also be level. The lift of the arches of your feet communicates to your pelvic floor. Now let the breath come into the region of the pelvis, the sort of pelvic basin, where this topography, this vessel is holding your vitality, which is an unctuous quality of earth and water combined. So as you next inhale, sweep your hands down, wide and up, and imagine raising that vitality upwards, and then gaze up when your thumbs meet. And exhale, bend your knees, bring your hands to your heart and curl down a little bit like a rag doll. Now, inhale, straighten your legs and bring your heart forward like you're filling a windsock. Fill up the pose. And then exhale and bow towards your legs, releasing the breath as completely as possible. Inhale, sweep your arms wide. As you rise up, level your pelvis, lift your arches, and then raise your heart and your eyes. And exhale, hands to your heart. So the feet up to the pelvis should be stable right there. Let's inhale again, raise up. Okay, exhale, hands to your heart, bend your knees, come down, touch the two blocks. Inhale, straighten your legs, bring your heart forward. And exhale for a deep bow towards your legs. Press firmly into the blocks to tone your low belly. And once more, inhale to rise. Pay special attention to how you center your pelvic floor, heels and arches, and then lift your heart and your gaze. And exhale, hands to your heart. We're going to add to the sequence. So inhale, raise your arms. Good, exhale, hands to the heart, bend your knees, come down like a little rag doll. And then inhale, straighten your legs, energize your body like filling up a windsock with the breath. Now exhale, bow deeply towards your legs, press into the heels of both hands, complete your exhale breath. Inhale, glide your heart forward like a curtain being lifted from a window in a breeze. And then step backwards, please, with your left foot. And so this is a familiar part of your sequence. Let's inhale, rise up to your crescent lunge. And then exhale your hands to your heart. And bring your attention down to your pelvis. Okay, so now the legs have split, and I want you to try to sense what is happening for you at the pelvic floor. Your right leg's forward, left leg is back. The right leg's in flexion, left leg is in extension. So what can you do to organize that the pelvic floor, if it were a mirror, is still reflecting the floor and then reflects upwards through the chakra system? So a couple things to check. If the breath feels smooth, it's going to give you good feedback. The inhale does touch the pelvic floor. The exhale does tone the pelvic floor. So if the tailbone feels like it can come down and slightly forward towards the pubic bone, and if you sense that neither sitting bone is being jostled left to right, and also that the pubic bone and the inner thigh don't feel like they're collapsing on each other on the right leg, those are good signs. And let's take it back up so you're fountaining upwards, like blooming upwards. Vitality blooms through the body. And then exhale, make a wide circle of your arms and come slowly forward with great stability in the legs. Touch the two blocks, please. Inhale, float your left foot forward, bring your heart forward. And then exhale, take your right toes back. And again, this is a familiar pose for you. So let's inhale, rise up with full appreciation for the thousands of lunges you have already done in your life. Bring your hands to your heart. This is really to help us concentrate attention down to the pelvis and truly listen to see what's happening at the pelvic floor in your hip joints right now. You may also, of course, be sensing that some muscles feel like more capable, more strong, and others feel a little bit tighter. Some muscles might feel apprehensive. As you have a sense that the pelvis is level, the pelvic floor is toned and reflective, then inhale, raise your arms up and bloom upwards like a flower. And then with your exhale, make a wide circle of the arms. Stretch out in all directions with very stable legs. Come forward. Touch the two blocks. And let's inhale, step your right foot forward, please. And then exhale to deeply bow towards your legs. Keeping what you've learned in your awareness, please inhale the arms wide. When you rise up, level your pelvis, arches and heels, then lift your heart and your eyes. And exhale, come down to Anjali Mudra. Okay, inhale, raise up. Now we're going to practice a little bit like we're on a boat or a train, as I was saying. So exhale your hands to your heart, bow forward, bend the knees like a rag doll. Inhale, straighten both legs. Bring your heart forward like filling a windsock. Exhale for a deep bow towards your legs. Inhale, glide forward like a curtain being lifted in a breeze. And then exhale, take your left toes straight back. Promptly be aware of the pelvic floor. Inhale, rise up to your crescent lunge. And keeping the legs really stable. So that's what's essential here, that the pelvis is stable, the legs are stable. Let the torso imagine as if you were practicing on a boat, on a train, and you had this opportunity for this sort of exploration. While keeping the pelvis stable, what will happen is maybe the torso side bends and you really become aware. But if the pelvis gets jostled about, the movements of the torso causing some chaos at the pelvis, that won't be so helpful to you. So listen for how the expression wants to find its way in your body. And then as you next exhale, begin the journey of coming down. I'm going to ask you to reach for both blocks, and we're going to stay down for the pose called Parsvottanasana. So what I want you to do is come up to your fingertips, so it's a pretty high Parsvottanasana. Make your arms longer. Straighten your right leg, please, and draw the outer right hip back. And then allow your hips and your torso as if you were on a boat, on a train. If you were an unctuous river, what you can do is imagine the movements as smooth. And for any desire you have to go deeper to the forward bend, so long as the smoothness of the body remains, so you don't feel like the Tin Man. I want you to feel maybe like when the Tin Man got his oil, and you're welcome to improvise here, to sense into what your body would be asking for, what it would be craving, in terms of letting your vitality blossom in you. And some of you may find that you're most comfortable with your hands actually coming all the way down to the floor. And that is okay. And the pose can rock a little bit side to side. Please keep your awareness loving and your body unctuous and smooth. And as you're thinking about it now, the return towards Uttanasana will be coming up. So you can find your own poetic way to appreciate the movements of your body here. And as you next feel inclined, exhale, bend your right knee. There's your basic lunge. And float your left foot forward. And let's take a strong bow over the legs. Strong exhale. Inhale, glide your heart forward. Notice the difference between your two legs. And then exhale, step your right toes back, plant your left heel. Rise up to your crescent lunge, again, a familiar place for you to be. And I do want you to have the pelvis be very stable. So that is your first priority. That from your back foot to your front foot, your shin and your thigh, stable. And then let the torso kind of find its way. It might be different than on the first side, might be similar. And practice not becoming distracted by the adventure or the creativity of the upper body. So you don't lose touch with the need for your foundation to be stable.
There may be discoveries you're having right now about your own hips and pelvis, but also about your mind. And slowly find your way from where you are. No way to get it wrong, by the way. Remember, no way to get it right. As you come down, you can place your fingers high on your blocks. Please straighten your left leg. You can keep the right heel lifted for now. It adds a little element of more freedom, which is also to say a little bit less stability. And just explore how your body would want to be in a creative mode here. If the hips were to go side to side, invite your body to feel more unctuous, less like the Tin Man, more like a ferret. You know how flexible the ferret is. And try sometimes bringing the spine a little bit more towards cat pose. Other times you might be a little bit more like cow pose. Some of you may find that you're really comfortable placing your hands directly on the floor. Others will find that there's greater joy in not putting your hands directly on the floor. That's something more beautiful or more vital, more bright. Comes through if you don't. And just noticing what it is that your body offers by way of, like, here are the sensations, here are the movements, here are the longings. The next time that you exhale and you're ready to bring your left knee forward over your left heel, and please step your right foot up to meet your left foot. Enjoy a long bow towards your legs with a strong exhale. And then inhale, root down. Now as you rise up again, check your toes, your arches, your heels. Level your pelvis before you lift your heart, before you lift your eyes. And then exhale, bring your hands down to your heart. And let's pause in mountain pose to notice how are things feeling. Now please come with me down to the floor with your 2 blocks. I have something between me and my glasses. There we go. So when you come down, you know, we've been sitting on the block Zazen style like this. We're going to sit on the block. Please smile in response to this. We're going to sit on the block on the front edge right here. Okay, so the narrow situation. So when you sit on it, you're kneeling. I want you to sit pretty far forward on the block so that if you tip the pelvis forward, you're not running into it with your pubic bones. Yeah. Okay, so you're kneeling and you can take the, sometimes people call that the fleshy parts, and move those out of the way so that the sitting bones, they are framing the block like this on either side. And let's just check a couple things. If you roll the pelvis backwards, you feel the tailbone and parts of the sacrum. When you roll your pelvis forward, you're going to feel your sitting bones, the inner edge of the sitting bones, yes, and then you come a little more forward, there's the front of the sitting bones, but we don't want to run into the pubic bone. And then bring yourself back to level. Yeah, there you are. Okay, so please rest your hands in your lap and smile at yourself, your pelvic floor, and also your teacher. And let's imagine the inhale comes down and it touches the 4 corners of the pelvic floor. So that's pubic bones, your tailbone, and the 2 sitting bone regions that you can feel on that block right now. So that on the inhale, it's kind of widening out like an unctuous river. On the exhale, those 4 bony points become more toned towards each other. And try that for 3 more breath cycles. I know some of you are having strong sensations. I'm not suggesting that you be in denial about that or have any aggression towards yourself about it. Let's see if you can have 3 full breath cycles. And now roll the spine, the lumbar spine, very slightly back until you are behind your sitting bones. You're near the base of the sacrum. And then roll the spine slowly forward, lumbar spine like a little back bend. You are going to come over the sitting bones, and it might be tender and it might be uncomfortable. And it might be lopsided. And then roll it back again. We will not do this forever, but we will do it as a massage for about 1 minute. So I want you to be really thoughtful and very kind. The insertions that you're massaging right now with the edge of the block, those are alongside the inner edge of the sitting bones. And some of this is where pelvic floor muscles insert into the bony aspect of the pelvis. And when you're rolling backwards and rolling forward, there might be regions where it's very quiet, not big sensation. And there may be regions where it really lights up and it's not like you have control over that dimmer switch. It's like your body telling you, hey. So just do that 1 more time until you bring your pelvis to what you think of as center. And then I'm going to ask you to take your feet out from kneeling. So step 1 foot forward, step the other foot forward. So now you're not really squatting because we're sitting on the block, but now you have a little bit more weight. When you go backwards with the tailbone, whoa, you're right there on the sacrum, right? So this massage, what you can do is, my feet are pretty close to my hips. That's comfortable for me, but I don't have very long arms. So when I roll backwards, my arms are straight and I'm on the back of the sacrum. And when I roll up to sitting, then I roll up, it's a little bit like cow pose, the chest and heart are lifted. And when I roll back, it's like cat pose. And yes, you are massaging the sacrum, and I do hope that your mental narrative is kind. Yeah. So exhale to roll that back. You can straighten the arms. And inhale to roll forward and up. You might bend the elbows, lift your chest. Yeah. And exhale to roll that back. And inhale to roll up. And please do that 1 more time. Exhale to roll back. There's your cat pose. Good thing we don't actually have long tails. They feel crushed. And inhale to roll up. Good. Now take the other block that you have. Place it in front of you. Make your feet wider. Okay. Reach forward. And come up to Uttanasana. And then take both blocks, frame them like for your sun salutation, rise up to standing, and please come up with a full smile. You're all kind of tiny on my screen, so if you smile big, I'm going to see it more. Okay. And Susie can go to Ben's camera now. Okay, so what we're going to be doing now is go back to the sun salutation and see how do things feel having massaged the body in this way. So please bring your hands together at your heart. My hope is that you're going to feel greater vitality and freedom. Press into all 10 toes, find your heels. With your Ujjayi breath, sweep your hands down, wide and up. Look up from your heart and your eyes as your thumbs meet. And this time exhale straight away to Uttanasana. Take the arms wide and bow over the tops of your thighs and explore how does Uttanasana feel having released the pelvis in this way. Inhale, glide forward like a curtain in a breeze on a window. Exhale, left foot back. Plant your left toes. Inhale, rise up, crescent lunge. Try noticing any additional freedom your body has right now.
And then exhale, arms wide, bow over your right thigh slowly. Touch both blocks and straighten both legs, Parsvottanasana. And let's move the hips a little side to side. Come back to the exploration you had before and see if there's any change in the landscape of sensations. Any change in the feeling of unctuousness or freedom in your body. And perhaps other things that might change would be, even if some of the sensations are about the same, that your equanimity, physically or physiologically, or even mentally, that your equanimity has increased. And then the next time you feel inclined to, you're going to exhale, bend your right knee into your basic lunge. And inhale, step your left foot forward. Bring your heart forward like a curtain on a breeze. Exhale, take the right toes back. And inhale, rise up, crescent lunge. Listen for any sense of freedom you've been able to create in the pelvis. You look so beautiful. Thank you. With your exhale, sweep your arms wide. Come over the left leg slowly, but with great stability. You touch both blocks with your hands. And as you're inclined now, straighten your left leg and listen for the freedom of movement that your body may have access to now. Allow for some improvisation. It's not something you can get wrong. You do not have to get it, quote unquote, right. There's no competition at all. Listen for the ways in which your body may feel more vital, more fluid, more unctuous. And as you next exhale, when it feels like the right timing for you, your preferred exhale, bend your left knee, put your two blocks aside, and step into downward dog pose with your feet as wide as your yoga mat. And keeping the hands and shoulders stable, let the hips once more sway side to side. So a big sense of freedom for the hips and the legs, and tremendous stability for the hands, arms, and shoulders. And in that process, that meandering process that is you can think of the topography of the pelvis like water coming in and swooshing, water moving out, and how beautiful canyons and basins are made by water. And slowly find your way with your feet as wide as your mat. Find your way forward to plank pose, a wide-footed plank pose. And then from this plank pose, turn both heels to your right and come to your right hand. So your feet are wide here for a side plank pose. Reach up with the left arm. And let your left arm explore just how it most wants to move. With the feet wide, my hope is that you have a little bit greater balance in your side plank pose. You are, of course, welcome to put your right knee down if you would need to or want to. And as you next exhale, roll your left hand back to the floor, shoulder width apart from the right hand, and then swivel your hips and heels to center and over to the other side. And keeping your left arm strong with your feet wide on the mat. If you need extra support for your balance, of course, you're welcome to touch your left knee down. And let the right arm explore what freedom can be found. And the next time that you feel ready, you exhale the right hand down towards plank pose. Pivot your feet to the wide foot of your mat. Now place the knees down, put the big toes together, and reach backwards to child's pose. And listen inside your child's pose for what feels like freedom or vitality or
Like this little inkling that something could bloom in your life when your vitality is not burdened. And walk your hands back towards your knees. Or please take the blanket you started with. I'd like us to check in and see how things are feeling there. And then we're going to go in an unusual direction with these blocks. So we'll see that very shortly. So I'd like you to roll this snugly. I don't know if it's very unusual. You guys have been studying with me for some time, so maybe nothing seems that unusual. So roll your blanket snugly. Take a seat in baddha konasana. Remember that you can put your blanket up on another blanket to make it taller. I like the roll of the blanket to help you tip the pelvis forward. Your blocks can go under your knees. And walk your torso forward. Take the fingers out in front. Let your head be angled such that your gaze is inward. And the inhale is once more an inner experience of brightening, raising your commitment or your confidence or your courage. And the exhale is for softening, releasing any sense of urgency or haste. And hold your feet with your left hand. Take your right hand to your right knee and check the twist we did in the beginning of class here. Just gently to see what's happening now. And then please check it to the other side. So bring your right hand to your feet, left hand to your left knee, and please twist to your left. And then roll back to center. Rise up to sitting, and let's see what this would feel like as a momentary meditation seat right here. To close the eyes and let your attention go inward. Hopefully the pelvis feels centered, the pelvic floor. If it were a mirror, it can reflect the chakra system upwards. Notice what is present and also what is not present. So if you notice a kind of presence where there is a stillness of mind, and also notice the absence of distractions. Maybe have a quality of being in the present, the absence of planning the future. And then momentarily we're going to transition. Bring your hands to your heart to acknowledge that this segment of your yoga practice and the efforts that you were just putting in. And then release your hands. Please bring your knees up to center. Okay, I'm going to go to a profile of myself here on the mat. So I'm going to ask you now to come along with me on a little massage for the pelvis and the sacrum. And I know that not everybody has a foam roller at home. And also, we're going to use the beveled edge of the block, which has a kind of specificity to it. So when you lie down with your 2 blocks, you're going to have the blocks first place them on the flat setting like this. And we're going to pick up the hips and put the blocks under so that the bottom tip of the blocks is moving in like our restorative class from yesterday and the day prior. And when you're moving in like that, it's like a little point at the base of the blocks, and yet the sacrum is supported. And then pick up your knees and see if you can let the block is right behind the trochanter, yes, and along the edge of the sacrum right there. And you are levitating. The sacrum is like levitating between the 2 blocks. And there might be some tenderness right where the blocks are. Okay, so curl the knees in. The lumbar spine does get more broad, rolls down towards the floor. And there may be a massage right where the line of the blocks is. And then take the knees forward. The knees only need to come as far forward as you're comfortable with. Should not cause you to arch the lower back. And curl the knees in. Do this thoughtfully. These are beautiful structures in the human body. We don't want them to feel annoyed with us, but rather invited to have a release. Releasing the habit of tension or apprehension. Just the habit of holding. Good, so when you're rolling in, yep, there you are. Little massage alongside the sacrum. And let's roll to the place where you feel like, oh, there's a bunch of sensation somewhere near to the vertical line of your thighs. Hopefully your hip flexors do not feel like they are gripping right now. And you can allow gravity to help you have this descent where the back of the sacrum goes down between the 2 blocks. You are held by the blocks at the back side of your thigh bone. And keeping your right knee where it is, bring your left foot down to the floor, cross your right ankle over your left knee. Yes, you are on the beveled edge of the block, and you're going to press your right knee open, please, away from your chest like this, and then fan it back in, and do that a couple of times. So I don't want your block to be sliding underneath you, so check that it's in snug enough for that. When you press open, and when you come in, you are massaging that little crease between the back of your thigh bone and your sacrum, that little valley, I should say, between 2 bony landmarks. And when you press open, now keep the open position as well as you can. And scoot your left toes a little bit forward so that open position is asking for a little bit more hip extension right through here. To press your right knee forward, you actually have to use the muscles of your right hip, like right behind where the thigh meets the pelvis, these muscles called the deep six and the abductors. And they're opening your right knee out to the side for you right now. That means that the adductors, the inner thigh, has to be like, okay, I concede. The abductors are moving the femur. I agree to lengthen. And do keep your hips level, please, because I don't want you leaning your pelvis to the right to make it look like your knee went farther. Nobody can evaluate or compete with you right now. Now, tone right across your low belly from one hip bone to the other and begin to gently pick up both legs, keeping your figure 4 pose. So that as you come with your left knee towards your chest,
You can feel some of that massage at the back side of your right hip. You may choose to place your right hand just gently on your right knee. You might hold your right ankle with your left hand. You might do none of those. I hope that you're smiling at your body right now. There are no sensations in the body that are trying to be unkind to you. Yeah, very good. Thank you for your willingness to be inward and also patient with your body. Let's now take the left foot slowly back to the floor. Press your right knee open. And then bring your right knee to your chest. Float your left knee to your chest and let the knees fall towards the torso. And then take the right toes to the floor, right heel too, and cross your left ankle over your right knee. And as you press your knee open, it might be different than on your other side. Mine are different left to right. So when you're pressing open, you're using the strength at the back of your left hip. And when you glide your knee towards your chest, you're using the inner thigh to help with that. So let's have that go a few times to open and to come in and to open and to roll in. One more time, go ahead and open and try to keep a sense that you're going to consistently press your left hip open as you walk your right toes forward on the floor. And maybe you'll have a sense that the extension of the legs moving in the direction of extension, that you're like, oh, there's my hip flexors, maybe on the left more than the right at the moment. But breathe into your experience there, with just so much kindness. And you get a sense of lengthening your left thigh now. Try to maintain the spaciousness of what you're creating. Tone your low belly. Pick up your right knee. And you're going to bring your knees towards you. So you might hold your left ankle with your right hand. You might place your left hand on your left knee. You might do neither one of those things. It's also optional. And see if you can breathe into the sensations. I know some of those could be very strong sensations. So you always have the option of padding the block if it's too beveled. You could put your mat on top of it, or a sweatshirt, or a towel, a blanket. Or you can do the same practice without the blocks, of course. Okay, and then gently release your right foot towards the floor, left knee towards your chest, and then left foot to the floor. Pick up your hips and put the two blocks aside. And come down to rest and just see what might happen to your mind or your senses, your body, your breath. Those are not mild practices, even though they're subtle. They're subtle but also powerful. So notice what is happening for your mind, for your physiology, for your breath. Okay, and then roll to your side, please. Okay, nice job with that. Now I'd like us to get the chair, and we're going to set up for something for the upper back before we take a look at this for the hips and pelvis with the chair. So let me get mine, and you can also get yours. So I want you to place your chair on your mat. And then it's ideal if you have 2 blankets. Now, of course, how we fold the blankets makes a difference. So I have these 2 here. And I'm going to unfold them each from the storage fold. And then stack them on top of each other. Okay. So what you have then are these 2 blankets that are going to be supporting your shoulders in a variation on bridge pose, kind of like a high bridge pose. The blocks are going to be important still, but I'm going to move mine so that you won't be losing the view of the blankets on the chair. We also have Ben's camera that we can use here too. So I have 2 blankets. One is purple and my mat is purple. So here's the purple blanket and the yellow blanket. And also I don't have very long arms. So I know that my distance from the chair, my blankets are pretty close to my chair. Your blankets might be farther from your chair. Only you will know once you get set up. So what we'll do is we'll show with me and then we'll show with Ben. So you have 2 options for seeing. I like to start kneeling near my chair facing the direction that my head is going to be. And then I recommend that you place your shoulder on the edge of the blanket so you can see where you are. And you roll into place, moving your hair and your hair clips out of the way. So if you're looking at me right now, you can see that my shoulders are at the edge of the blanket and I can easily hold the toes of the chair right here. And that means that my chair and I are stable and I can go up and tuck the shoulders easily under the heart. And then, sorry my chair is noisy, that's not me creaking, that's the chair. And then when you get both feet established, you're able to scoot the shoulders under one more time. Your shoulders stay on your blanket, your head is on the floor. So this is called bridge pose, a high bridge pose. And I'll stay for a few more moments and then Susie can take the camera over to Ben's window so we can see 2 different people practicing the same pose. And when you find your way up into the pose, really important that you have a sense your shoulders have a pretty big responsibility. They are pressing down and your heart is rising up. The 2 blankets should make this easier for your neck. So the neck is not in as much flexion. And I'd like both feet to be stable on your chair. We're going to stay for a few breath cycles more. So that's time for you to feel out in your own body right now. What is the inhale capable of doing, having released some of the tension in the pelvis? And what is the exhale capable of doing while you're also inverted? And then I'm going to ask you to thoughtfully roll down from your chair. You can roll your hips down, keep your feet on the chair. Scoot yourself just slightly back until your shoulders are just past the line of your blankets. Okay, so that's an important thing. We didn't go that far past the blanket, but the shoulder blades just tip off the back of those 2 blankets. Reach for your 2 blocks. Now they're going to be on the medium setting, so that's not the flat, but the medium. You pick up the hips, make a little V shape, take your legs through the back of your chair, and you're resting in a very slanted incline right here. So the hips go on the 2 blocks medium. In our restorative class yesterday,
The blocks were on the flat setting. Right now they are on the medium setting. And then the arms can come down to cactus pose. So I'll just repeat a couple things so that you have a sense of it. The shoulder blades are just off the back of the blanket. The blanket supports the ribs and the spine right under the shoulder blades. The two blocks are medium, so your hips are at an incline between your knees on the chair and your heart past the blanket. Bring your gaze down towards your heart. Your feet can go through the opening of the back of the chair. Let your mind deeply relax. This is a gentle way of practicing an inversion. You're on like a little slant board that you've created. Bring your gaze in towards the pelvis and that topography of the basin of the pelvic bowl, and let the water become super clear and the belly deeply relaxed. You don't need to be breathing in any dynamic way right now. This is a kind of restorative pose. We're going to have one more minute here where the body is having the restoration of balancing the vayus, apana vayu, prana vayu. So keep your attention down in the pelvic basin. Nothing much to do right now with the mind. Now thoughtfully bring a little awareness to your breath and your body. You can reach for the two blocks, lift your hips and roll down off of the blocks, set them aside. Now, if you are a little bit gymnastic about this, what you can do is place your feet on the edge of the chair, move the blocks down to be at the base of your sacrum, actually the top of your sacrum right there. And then you can take the top blanket and fold it in half once. So that what you have is the layers of blanket now to support your shavasana. And hopefully this is illustrated by the color differentiation from my yoga tights. Let me put this, so the pink that you see is the top of my sacrum, and that's where I am on the blankets. And then the knees are supported by the chair. So this is a pelvic rest position. Want the pelvis to be neutral here and to integrate the work that you were doing with the pelvis. It would not surprise me if your mind feels really tired right now, but that through shavasana, it gets this quiet resetting and then a revival. So I'm going to ask you now to make this your shavasana pose.
So let the arms go out to the side. Turn your palms face up. And close your eyes. Let your attention go inward. You can still imagine you're gazing towards this inner topography of the pelvis and just seeing, wow, there's so much vitality possible, but we don't want to burden that vitality. We don't want to deplete that vitality either. When you place your attention within the pelvis, just imagine like moment to moment, the deeper relaxation, like one grain of sand through the hourglass. One droplet of water at a time, realizing, oh, we can be held right now in the home of the pelvis. This beautiful landscape inside becomes really deeply reflective and restful. Allow everything to get heavy, for only the water to be the moving, but still reflective vitality in you. Release any bits of tension in the body, moment to moment, one droplet at a time. Allow everything to be deeply grounded, heavy with relaxation. Only the lightness, the reflectivity of the water of the pelvis. everything to be very heavy with relaxation, like the element of earth, but only the clear water of the pelvis reflecting, clear, translucent. And all the work you put into your practice be assimilated because you're resting, not intruding. Now keeping the earth element heavy in the body and reflecting on the quality of water, vitality in the pelvis. Let your attention drift back into the body. Notice the inhale, notice the exhale. And then glide your knees towards your chest. Your feet can touch the front edge of the chair if that's helpful. And then roll downhill to your right side. Rest on your side for a few moments. And then when you're ready to, you can use both hands to come up to sitting. And we're going to talk for a few moments about the meditation seat, just briefly. So what I have is the same stack of blankets that we were just using. And I prefer my feet to go into Siddhasana like this. This is called Siddhasana. Some people do better if the legs are in Sukhasana. They cross the ankles and you can put a block under each one of the knees. So like this. When you're sitting up on a blanket and you have the two blocks, that can be really quite nice, like that. Okay. And when I sit in Siddhasana, I put one foot on the inside, one foot on the outside, and I switch that up from time to time. And then I slide right off the front of my blanket so that I'm actually sitting on those blankets only at the base of my sacrum before it becomes the tailbone, like a little bony ledge right there. And that's what's most comfortable for my pelvis to come down for meditation. And then Susie can go to Ben's camera because we sit differently and it'll be helpful to see that like both positions are valid. We take the hands out over the knees and you can close the eyes. And try to set your spine so it's the pelvic floor is like a reflective mirror, that mirror shining upwards, and the vertical column of the chakras lined up.
That column should go all the way up through the upper palate, the roof of the mouth, and then to the crown of your skull. And start to listen for what is present in the inner awareness and what is also absent, like the absence of fault finding, the absence of greed, the absence of planning or reviewing, the simplicity of the present moment. And stay inside with your meditation in the inner awareness of your seat, your mind and your heart, with knowing that practicing quiet attention, simple presence, you are reorienting your brain, your body, your heart, your awareness. This is such precious time to sit in the nectar, the amrit of your own practice. Keep your mind present here. And again, stay quiet in the blessing of your practice. Do not let the mind leave home. And please bring your hands together at your heart. And from the well-being that we cultivate during our practice and the awareness of how precious our practice is, natural to feel a quality of loving kindness or prayer on behalf of humans everywhere. And may all beings everywhere have access to that which nourishes and centers them, to that which resolves the difficulties and the dilemmas. May they have a community in which to practice and to feel nourished. We will sing the Om Shanti together. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May there be peace within, peace without, peace everywhere in all the realms. Thank you very much, everyone. Namaste. So nice to be with you.